have our first speaker is Tom Hebert, the NWTC gas utility and construction instructor, and we're going to go to his slide. So Tom.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Hebert from NWTC. I teach the weekend gas utility program. And just a little introduction for myself. Grew up in Wisconsin, went into the utility industry in my mid-20s, and the utility industry provided an opportunity for me to travel really around the United States. Spent some time living in Indiana for about 10 years total, 2 different times. Lived in Boston for about 5 years. Traveled to, I would say, at least 25, 26 states across the United States, really with gas and electric utilities. And what I'm here to talk with everybody about today is just some of the opportunities that the program has provided me, but also the opportunities that the program potentially could provide you. So if we could go to the next slide. This is when you look at the natural gas industry, it's broken down into 2 segments. And on the top of the screen, you can see producing wells and gathering lines, compressor stations. That is the transmission side of the business, larger pipe and higher pressures. And when I say larger pipe, I'm talking 48-inch diameter pipe and maybe 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of pressure that is being produced in those pipes to get that gas to Wisconsin. A majority of the gas that we burn in Wisconsin is coming to us from Colorado. So it's coming a tremendous amount of miles to get to us. Where we focus the training on at NWTC is going to start us at the City Gate Station. That's kind of in the center of that picture there, where Wisconsin Public Service or whoever your energy provider is going to take ownership of that gas from a transmission company. We're going to pump that gas down to about 60 pounds, and then we put it into all the lines that are going to be underground and going to your homes, businesses, whoever is going to be burning that product throughout the cities and in the rural areas also. We can go ahead to the next slide. So what I want to talk about is a couple of the pieces of equipment. And I think one of the misconceptions too, when you look at some of the equipment that you have on the screen, like a lot of this stuff is very serious, right? Can hurt people, can get a lot of work done. But you do not need any experience level to come into these programs and be productive and gain employment. There are many times that we get folks coming in, that haven't started a lawnmower, and we have them operating plenty of heavy equipment in a very safe and effective way. So the top picture, if you look at that machine, that's a directional drill unit, and we bring people in, and literally probably your second day, you're operating heavy equipment like this. And the directional drill, if you look out in the industry right now, is one of those pieces of equipment that when these graduates come out, they're probably somewhere in that $35 to $45 an hour range operating that piece of equipment. The next piece of equipment on the top right is a mini excavator. That is used on a daily basis for the industry. It's versatile, it's small, it's compact, you can get into yards, but that piece of equipment also, just like the directional drill, we train you on that. I mean, we start really at the infancy of how the machine works, from a distance, how to change the oil, how to maintain it, how to check fluids, and just basic types of things. And then we get you on this piece of equipment, and our program runs 9 months. But in that time, almost daily, you'll be on that piece of equipment because it is such a part of the utility that we incorporate it into almost every learning plan that we have. So on the bottom right, you see a backhoe, another piece of equipment that's versatile in the utility that, again, you don't have to have experience on. And I do hear this often that, hey, I don't really know how to do this, or I wasn't sure if this was something for me because I didn't know how to operate that. That is actually a preference of myself for sure as an instructor, to have somebody come in with no experience and get them to the level that they're comfortable and confident and employable the day after graduation, if not before. So the bottom picture in the middle looks like a coil, and it's a coil of pipe. A majority of the pipe that we put in the ground now, actually probably 99% of it, is plastic pipe. And it comes in rolls like that. It comes in rolls about 960 feet, and we unroll it. We dig a trench, put the pipe in the ground, bury it back up, put natural gas through it, and get it to a customer. We're not sending rockets to the moon here. However, the jobs that we perform are deemed essential. I mean, by the government, by the federal government. There's a lot of rules and regulations that we follow. So the jobs are taken seriously. And that's why when I look at the class that I had this year, I had 16 students, and those 16 kids were employed prior to graduation. And I think my lowest paid student was, 26, 22 an hour. And that went all the way to 40 some dollars an hour. And the other thing that I love about this program is I went through the program back in 2005 and graduated and was able to, I had 4 job offers prior to graduation, and I ended up moving to Indiana to be a technical trainer for a Fortune 500 company named NiSource. They were in 15 states. It was a huge company and it was a great opportunity for me. And the program being that 9 months, starting in June and then ending in March, it is fit perfectly for the utility industry. And for those kids that really like to work with their hands, and typically we're getting, kids that are really like shop classes, but that doesn't mean a valedictorian or somebody that's, highly educated couldn't come into this career and be very, very successful, because there are so many different jobs in a utility. You want to be a mechanic, you want to be a welder, you want to work in the dirt, you want to be an operator, you want to be a manager, you want to be a vice president. There are all sorts of opportunities that can stem from these careers here. So the slide, the last picture on the bottom left there is a gas meter. Most folks don't know if they have gas coming to their homes or not. If you walk around your home and this type of a meter is on your house, you have natural gas coming to your home. And that's just something that you can identify to be a little bit more knowledgeable. You can go to the next slide. Now, one of the great things about our program also, and this is all over the country, is we have so much outdoor space that we can do outdoor learning. Because working in the natural gas industry is not really something you can read out of a book or do a computer module on. The gas industry is something that you have to get your hands on. You have to understand how gas works and how pressure works. And, actually being in the dirt when it's warm, when it's cold, when it's raining, when it's snowing. So NWTC has really set those students up and instructors up to be hyper successful by having all of this opportunity with room and growth for expansion. Now, when we look at that picture, right, it's a picture and we see roads and dirt. The gas utility section is really the spot where you can see kind of the dirt in the ground, and you don't see grass. And then up in that wooded area, so we have a tremendous amount of room that everything is lifelike and people aren't tripping over each other in the lab. We can space people out, keep everybody safe. Go ahead, next slide. So one great thing about our program is it's been around since 1988. And the great thing about that is longevity, especially in a program, means success. And we've had a lot of really good success with the program, and even in the last couple of years. I've only been back at the school now for about 2 years, 2.5 years, teaching the weekend program. But we've built a really good roster of companies that every January, February, we have a career fair where companies that know and understand what we're producing, the product being the student, that they're coming in and hiring these folks. And the great thing that we had this year is COVID did exactly the opposite for the gas industry of what it did the most. It did not slow us down at all. It actually picked up our speed to do replacement projects, put more pipe in the ground and get it to our product to more customers. So the fact that with my students coming out, all of these kids having jobs just speaks to the amount of time and effort the college puts into those students, but also how believable the industry is in us, in our ability to train folks to be in the industry and be productive day one. So something we look at this third bullet point here, something that I want to draw your attention to, whether you take the gas utility program or not, and I tell my kids the same thing. There's a couple things you want to focus on, and you see 96 and 89% there. You want to ask a program, right? What's your graduate to employment rate, right? And we see that ours is 96%. So that means most of the folks that are coming into this program can graduate, right? It's not overly difficult where everybody's failing. It's not overly easy where everybody's passing, but that 96% is pretty high. The second number being 89% employed in the field. You don't want to go to school to be gas utility and then, you know, you're working at a dog track or something like that. You want to make sure that the degree you're going for, the education you're going for, is transferable into an industry that is going to be directly related with your education. So when we look at that 89% employed in the field, and these were last year's numbers, and our numbers will be even higher this year, those are pretty critical. And then our average starting salary for a lot of these kids coming out is right around $60,000 a year. But when I think of the kids that I had last year, a lot of these kids will make 100 grand, literally their first or second year, and then that'll be a continuation, you know, from this point forward. But I will say this: if the only thing that I'm saying today that interests you is money, do not waste your time or the school's time, because the money isn't everything, right? You want to have a career that you enjoy going to every single day, not just something where you're going to make a decent amount of money. You can go to the next slide. So just a quick overview, when we look at our curriculum, there's 33 credits in that 9-month technical diploma. Again, we're running from June and we're ending in March, and not a ton of you know, difficult classes in there. But what I would say is look at that curriculum there, if you can see that. And if there are things that you can take in high school yet to kind of knock those things out, and I think about College 101, the communicating classes, please do that, because when you come to college, then you'll be much more prepared to just be able to focus on the core classes and what you're getting an education on, and really the career. And then kind of lastly, what I'll leave you with is a couple things. The hands-on portion of this, probably 90% of our program is hands-on. And I mean, there's very little lecture in that. Our lecture even is outside, outdoors, but we do a lot of shop time, both inside and outside. So for anybody that is willing to do, you know, to put in that work and be utility ready, you know, the day after graduation, I would welcome you to come in and check the program out. And something that we do for the weekend program, that Friday, Saturday, is we bring folks into that want to shadow, because I think it's just important to know what you don't want to do as it is to know what you do want to do. So we give outside folks, non-students, an opportunity to come in and sit with the class. And we're typically there for 9 hours. You don't have to stay that whole time. But when we go to the last slide, I would just say there's my contact information. You know, if you do make contact, just let me know who you are, that you were part of this presentation, and I would welcome you to come in. Now, we don't start back up again until June 6th. So we are out of the area, we're not at campus, but anytime really from June until March, if you can make it in, I would strongly suggest you do that to see if the gas utility program would be a great fit for you. That's all I have.
Is it there a possibility that like a tech ed class could come in during school next year while the class is going on and kind of see what happens in the course?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say this year, the recruitment that I have been on with schools, and I've probably been to 30 different schools, either in person or virtually, I always make that offer, and we do get, you know, students that'll take us up on that. And I always tell them too, if you're nervous to come, bring a parent, bring a friend. You know, you don't have to come alone, because I get you're coming to an unfamiliar place, and we'll try to make you as comfortable as we possibly can in our environment. And what I typically do with those students that come in is I put them with other students, right? They don't want to listen to me talk all day long. They want to get involved with, right? They want to get involved with the students and see really what it's taking to be productive. But again, for me, the program was so fantastic, and it's still fantastic, right? Working back at NWTC again is kind of coming full circle for me, and I love it. I like being with the students and trying to take what I learned in 16 years through being a trainer, a field operations leader, and then an operations manager, and trying to give that experience to those kids in 9 months. You know, there's a reason why those kids are leaving with positions in that like 7-8 month period rather than having to wait till graduation.
Allison, do you have any questions?
There are no questions in the chat. I just wanted to make a comment. I've had the privilege to be able to be in Tom's class, and I do highly encourage any student or faculty, teacher, whomever, to take Tom up on the offer. And it's maybe even more so for highlighting the importance of a program that you just don't think about. You don't think about how you get hot water. You don't think about how the heat comes to your house, but how important just how important it is, and how the need to be safe in it, and feeling like you're part of a bigger solution, I think is an appealing draw for this particular program. So that is what I'm going to say.
And these jobs exist in every state. I mean, right now, I'd be willing to guess there are probably 1,500 jobs, available jobs out there for students right now. So it's fantastic. But
All right.
thank you.